Good afternoon. Today I'm going to be reviewing the Hanhart 4170S 1954 Heritage Flyback. This watch is available from Hanhart.com for €2,590. Hanharts have a rich brand heritage. They've been making watches since 1882, and the 4170S is their most iconic piece. It was famously worn by Steve McQueen and also used by German pilots in the 1950s. This 4170S 1954 Heritage Flyback is a heritage reissue of the original 4170S used in the 1950s, made to modern day specifications. The watch is available in two case sizes, 39mm and 42mm respectively. The thing to note is the 39mm is anti-magnetic, therefore features a solid stainless steel caseback. This 42mm version features an exhibition caseback which is sapphire crystal glazed. So firstly, let's look at the genuine leather watch roll, and then I'll talk you through the specifications of the piece. So the genuine leather watch roll comes housed inside an outer cardboard box which is protected by this black cardboard outer sleeve. So one removes the cardboard sleeve, and this is the cardboard watch box, and as you can see, good attention to detail because the lid is signed with an embossed Hanhart in 1882. So one removes the lid, which is a snug fit, pulls down the flap in the base, and I'll remove the genuine leather watch roll to show it to you. Beautiful grained finish to it, nice sheen to the leather, and contrasting white stitching around the perimeter and the two straps, and good attention to detail because it's embossed with the Hanhart text logo and also 1882. Two leather straps are secured onto two stainless steel rivets. So I'll open it up and show it to you. The interior has contrasting suede finish, two leather flaps which protect the watch, and flawless stitching around the perimeter of the flaps. Inside we've also got two leather straps with two stainless steel poppers which do a good job of securing the watch from moving around inside the genuine leather watch roll. Gorgeous scent to it, and Hanhart deserve credit for not using PU or vinyl leather. This is genuine leather and the scent is just delightful. Looks good, and also one immediately gets the impression that the 4170S 1954 Heritage Flyback is a high quality piece. So the watch is made in the Black Forest in Germany using a Swiss made Sellita caliber AMT 5100M. With regards to items that come with the piece, this is the owner's instruction manual, clear concise diagrams. The instructions are in English and also translated into German, so it's bilingual, both English and German, and it details the operation of the movement use, which is the Sellita caliber AMT 5100M. One also gets this Hanhart branded microfiber polishing cloth. I always think it's a nice touch to get a branded microfiber polishing cloth, irrespective of the price point of a piece. And lastly, one also gets this cardboard warranty card. On the reverse, it's filled in with the model number, reference number of the piece, and the serial number, and there's space for an authorised retailer to stamp it. And if you purchase the watch directly from Hanhart.com, they will do that. So I'm pleased to report that the watch is covered by a 2-year international warranty. I want to give due credit to Hanhart here because often mid-tier pieces between €500 and €5,000 price points, they are only covered with a 12-month international warranty. Hanhart cover their watches with a 2-year international warranty, which is excellent, and they deserve full credit for that. So, as I've detailed, this is the 4170S 1954 Heritage Flyback, which is a heritage reissue of the original 1954 4170S. It's available in two case sizes, 39 and 42. This is the 42mm with the exhibition caseback. So we have a 42mm case diameter. We have a lug-to-lug measurement of 49.75mm, a thickness of 14mm, and a lug width of 21mm. The bund strap is genuine leather and tapers from 21mm at the lugs down to the buckle and tang. Solid 316L grade stainless steel buckle and signed with the original Hanhart font. And I'm pleased to see that Hanhart have reverted to using the original fonts used in the 1950s because that does fit the aesthetic of this being a heritage reissue rather than using the contemporary font. The original Hanhart font is absolutely beautiful. I love it. So, nice heavy gauge to the buckle, flawless brushed satin finishing, beautiful luster to it, and no sharp edges, no burrs, so it's well finished. The strap is high quality. In terms of how supple it is, it feels very similar to Horween Shell Cordovan, which is very high grade, or alternatively a Hirsch calf leather strap. Nice matte sheen to it and contrasting grey stitching around the edges. It's an absolutely gorgeous strap. Now, if the bund strap isn't your personal taste, they also offer the piece on a standard leather strap, and you can opt for black or alternatively brown. And if the bund strap or the standard leather straps are not your personal taste, they also offer an oyster style bracelet to fit the piece. So that's something to bear in mind. We have a boxed top hat double dome sapphire crystal. Now, originally in the 1950s, 4170Ss used acrylic crystals, and in the 1950s, chronograph pieces used acrylic, plexiglass, or alternatively Hesselite crystals. Hanhart have made the correct decision here, because had they used an acrylic crystal, which would have looked close to the original, the problem is acrylic is soft, it's not scratch resistant, and it would be prone to being scuffed and scratched with daily wear and tear. Sapphire crystal is the correct upgrade, but it's a boxed top hat double domed sapphire crystal with AR coating on the underside. So the AR coating improves the legibility and the clarity. It does an outstanding job of reducing the glare and the highly reflective nature of the boxed top hat crystal, but of course sapphire crystal is harder and more scratch resistant than acrylic. So they've got the balance correct, and often it's difficult for brands to get it correct when they do a heritage reissue, between balancing the piece looking true to the original and also updated to modern day specification. Sapphire crystal with AR coating is modern day, but it does have the vintage aesthetic of an acrylic crystal from the 1950s. Bicompact style layout as per the original 4170S from the 1950s. I like the dial layout. Crisp printing to the Arabic numerals, which are true to the original 1950s. The fonts used on the text and also the Arabic numerals is original and correct. So this really does look exactly the same as a 1954 4170S. For example, it looks exactly the same as the 4170S that Steve McQueen wore and the German pilots in the 1950s. Matte black dial, which is good, rather than a sunburst dial or alternatively glossy enamel black dial, because it's matte, it's not shiny and reflective. That improves the legibility. The proportions of the subdials at 9 and 3 o'clock are correct. Printing is crisp. Subdial hands are white and they contrast very well. The syringe hands are white and contrast very well, and the proportions are true to the original. So, subjectively, purist Hanhart collectors might be critical of this being of the 42mm because the original 1950s version was 39mm. It's good that Hanhart are offering it in both the 39 to appeal to purists and also 42, because some collectors with a larger wrist, they enjoy the wrist presence of large Flieger watches and 42mm cases. So for a 6 to 7 inch wrist, I recommend the 39mm. If you have a larger 7 to 8 inch plus wrist, I recommend this 42. We have a fluted bezel and it has the iconic red marker. It's bi-directional and friction based, so it doesn't click as per a dive bezel. It has an original friction bezel as per the original from the 1950s, so this can be used for timing because you can line it up with a minute hand, for example. Nice foam resistance to the bezel. Flutes are as per the original, and I like the curved profile to it. Very grippy and tactile, and the red marker is an iconic feature of Hanhart pieces such as the 417ES. So it feels smooth all the way through the 360 degrees of rotation, both clockwise and anti-clockwise. Nice heavy friction, so it's not going to accidentally knock out of position when you rub it against the wrist, and it feels very satisfying to use. So good to have that original feature. Now, as you can see, this is a bicompact chronograph. So it's a bicompact manual wind flyback chronograph, but the two pushers are symmetrical. They are symmetrically spaced or evenly spaced from the crown. And you can see the lower pusher is red as per the original 1954 417S. There is a legend for the red lower pusher. The pilots, the German pilots in the 1950s, their girlfriends would paint the lower pusher with red nail varnish, and that was to remind the pilots of them when they were flying on missions. But it actually serves a useful purpose, and so Hanhart continued with it because the red pusher prevented pilots accidentally pressing the lower pusher and activating the flyback complication and resetting the timer of the chronograph when flying, which was used for navigation, which would have been dangerous. So by having the lower red pusher, it immediately means one can differentiate between the top pusher, which stops and starts the chronograph complication, and the lower pusher, which activates the flyback complication and therefore resets the chronograph hand. So it does serve a meaningful purpose. Now, the thing to note is this one is red, as per the 1950s pilots' watches, which were painted with red nail varnish, but of course it's not painted with red nail varnish. Hanhart have updated this to modern day specifications, so it's coated with a material called high ceram. High ceram is 60% microfine ceramic mixed with 3D cross-linked polymer. So the microfine ceramic and also 3D cross-linked polymer means that it is very hard and scratch resistant. So the benefit of that is with daily wear and tear, the coating in red is not going to wear off as per enamel or paint, for example, or anodizing. So it's very durable, it's very robust and scratch resistant, rather like a ceramic bezel, for example. So let's test the chronograph complication. Pressing the top pusher activates the chronograph, and the chronograph hand will begin to sweep around the dial at the characteristic 4 Hz sweep, because the movement runs at 28,800 vibrations per hour and a frequency of 4 Hz. Pressing the top pusher again stops the chronograph complication. Pressing the lower red pusher resets the chronograph complication. Now, the other benefit of this movement being a flyback is while the chronograph complication is running, you can activate the flyback complication. So you don't need to stop and start the chronograph. You can simply run the chronograph hand and you can press the flyback at any time and the chronograph hand will fly back. So this is particularly useful for repeated timing or navigation purposes because you can allow the chronograph to run. You don't need to stop it and then reset it. You can simply press the lower red pusher and it will fly back bang on 12 o'clock. So I'm just going to check the alignment. Bang on 12, bang on the 60-second mark on the chapter ring, and I'm just going to check it 2 more times. This is something I really like about Hanhart, the quality control, because this uses a Sellita caliber AMT 5100M, which is a very accurate, reliable Swiss-made caliber. But the thing I like about it is the accuracy, the alignment of the chronograph hand. It resets bang on 12, bang on 60 seconds every single time. As you can see, the alignment is perfect. So I'm just going to check it again a couple of times, pressing the flyback complication to check the alignment. Bang on 60 every time. It's very satisfying to use. Now, the thing I like about this is the firm resistance of the spring-loaded action. So, to clarify, it feels firmer than a Rolex Daytona. It feels similar to an Omega Moonwatch, a Speedmaster. It's got that kind of firm, crisp feeling. Heavily sprung-loaded pushers. They feel reliable, they feel robust. So you've got to give them a good hard push to start and stop the chronograph complication. Nice, crisp feeling, but I like the heavy, spring-loaded action. They feel very reliable. Long-term durability is not going to be an issue. Pressing the flyback pusher also feels crisp. You've got to give it a good hard push, and I like the feeling of it. It feels sharp, it feels crisp and reliable. So excellent alignment, excellent durability, and the flyback complication works correctly as one would expect. Right, so let's test the crown. Push-pull crown rather than screw-down crown because it's a manual wind piece rather than an automatic with a rotor. So this is good. The benefit is you don't need to unscrew a crown in order to manually wind it. 40 full clockwise turns is enough to fully wind the mainspring to its maximum 58-hour power reserve when it's fully unwound and exhausted. So coin edge finished crown. Domed cap to it, as you can see, mirror polished and embossed with a Hanhart H. And I like the detail because it's the original font as used on the Hanhart original font logo on the dial and also on the signed buckle. So it's good they've reverted to the original font from the 1950s rather than the contemporary fonts. So in the closed position, one can manually wind it to its maximum 58-hour power reserve. It feels very smooth, doesn't feel rough or gritty, very light resistance. Feels very similar to manually winding a Sellita caliber SW510M, which this is based upon. The architecture of both movements is the same. And I like the smoothness of it. One can feel the tension in the mainspring gradually building up to its maximum. It's not possible to overwind it and damage the movement because it contains a ratcheting mechanism, so that releases excess tension. So for example, if you clockwise wind it more than 40 turns, you can't damage the movement. The ratcheting mechanism will release the excess tension once you get to its maximum 58 hours. Feels good. So pulling it out to the first click position is the final click because there is no date complication, therefore there's no phantom date setting position. We're now in the time setting position. Feels very smooth. Light resistance to the gearing. It has 23 joules and it feels very refined, very smooth. In terms of the smoothness, this feels smoother than the SW510M, which it's based upon. So to clarify, the AMT 5100M is based upon the SW510M. The SW510 is available in two versions, the 510 and the 510M. The 510 is the automatic with a rotor. The 510M, M denotes manual, is the mechanical version without a rotor. The benefit of the 510M is it is thinner and lower profile, and therefore the piece can be made thinner. So the AMT 5100M is based upon it, but it is a higher grade version because it's made by manufacturer AMT SA in Switzerland, which is Selita's high-end division. So, feels very smooth, and there's an immediate response. When you rotate the coin edge crown clockwise and anti-clockwise, you can see the syringe minute hand immediately responds. There's no back play whatsoever. You don't need to take up a lot of slack. This is what I really like about it, the refinements. The AMT version of the SW510M is the high grade version. The AMT 5100M is excellent in terms of quality, in terms of tolerances, build quality, machining, finishing, and just refinements. Fantastic. Pushing it back in, it's got a nice positive click, and that restarts the movement. You can see on the 9 o'clock subdial, the second hand begins to sweep around at 4 Hz. Feels good to manually wind, feels good to set the time. If I had to use one word to describe the movement, I would say refinement. So let's look at the case back, because this is one of my favourite aspects of the piece. So usually the 4170S has a solid stainless steel case back, and the 39mm version of this 1954 Heritage Flyback still does use a solid stainless steel case back because it is anti-magnetic. And of course, in order for it to be anti-magnetic, it needs to have a stainless steel case back rather than exhibition case back. But this 42mm version uses an exhibition case back glazed with sapphire crystal. It's subjective. Purist Hanhart collectors will be critical of this because, of course, they like the Heritage reissue of the 4170S to be pure to the original. They want it to have a stainless steel case back as per the 1950s. However, this is contemporary. It does a good job of displaying the calibre, and of the two versions, I prefer this exhibition case back. The benefit of it being the manual wind version of the 510 rather than the automatic is it's thinner, but of course this is decorated because it's made by AMT SA, the Selita's high-end division. So you can see on the bridge of the movement we've got milled stripes, which are like Côtes du Genève or Geneva stripes, and it's decorated with blued screws. So make no mistake, this is not a standard Selita SW510M. What you're looking at is a manufacturer AMT SA, AMT 5100M. This is the very best of Selita. Hanhart deserve credit here because they could have just used the default option or the less expensive option of a standard Selita SW510M, which isn't decorated, and of course they could have just used a stainless steel case back to hide it because it doesn't have this decoration of blued screws and milled stripes, Côtes du Genève, on the bridges. This is highly decorated, the finishing is better, it's higher grade, the quality control, the build quality, the materials, the finishing, everything about manufacturer AMT SA movements are higher end. So to clarify, manufacturer AMT SA custom make movements for brands, and they also make bespoke movements for brands, and this, it really is the very best of Selita. So as you can see, finished to perfection, absolutely gorgeous to look at. I like the way the milled stripes or Côtes du Genève catch the light, and the blued screws add interest to it. Flawless mirror polishing to the main plate, and as you can see, the bridges are beautifully decorated. So it's well finished, aesthetically pleasing, and nice to see it. So case back is nice and flat. It's not a deep bubble back case back. Now, had Hanhart used a standard Selita SW510 with an automatic rotor, the problem with that is it's thicker, and they would have had to use a deeper bubble back exhibition case back in order to provide adequate clearance for the rotor. The benefit of this being based upon the SW510M, the manual wind version, is it doesn't have a rotor. The rotor's been deleted by Selita, so it's thinner, and therefore it can have minimal clearance beneath the sapphire crystal. You can see just how close the sapphire crystal is to the bridge of the movement. So very close, and it's very flat. Now the benefit is this piece, even though it has a boxed top hat double dome sapphire crystal, it's only 14mm. Had they used the automatic version of the SW510, it would have been 15mm plus, and that would have diminished the feel good factor, the comfort level, because it would have been too top heavy and thick. This is excellent, looks good, and the sapphire crystal portion is large diameter, so you can see the movement fully. The stainless steel portion is mirror polished to perfection. The milled slots are deburred and chamfered to a high standard, no sharp edges, and the circumference is engraved with high definition engraving with a reference number and serial number of the piece. So provides an effective hermetic seal to 100 meters, which is strong specification. Strictly speaking, a chronograph only needs to be 50 meters water resistant with pushers. Without screw down collars, it doesn't need 100 meters. 100 meters is very good. Absolutely gorgeous, and I think they've made the correct decision with a 42mm version to use an exhibition case back to show off the manufacturer AMT SA caliber. Of course, if you're a purist, you can still opt for the 39mm, which is more anti-magnetic and truer to the original. Underside of the bund strap is gorgeous, suede effect to it, contrasting cream stitching, and we've got Hanhart embossed on one side of the strap, as you can see. The only negative to this piece is the 21mm lug width. 20 and 22 are the industry standards. 21 is a rather odd lug width, and of course that does reduce your options if you want to fit alternative straps, because 20 and 22 are the convention. But one has to be subjective about this. For the majority of collectors, 21 is not going to be a negative, because Hanhart do offer this on a standard leather strap, bund strap, alternatively oyster style bracelet, and also black or brown version, so there are enough options to suffice. Two keepers on the strap, one's fixed, one slides as one would expect, and this strap will fit a 6 to 7.5 inch wrist with no difficulty whatsoever. Plenty of holes in it, feels very soft and supple as per Horween Shell Cordovan leather strap, alternatively a Hirsch strap which is made from calf leather. That's the level of quality, very soft and supple. It's not going to require any breaking in whatsoever. I like the bund strap because it's true to the original from the 1950s. Right, so I'll give you wrist shots and you can see how it fits on my 8-inch wrist. Now, as you can see, I can just engage the tang in the buckle and the hole in the strap on the last hole. So this strap will fit a 6 to maximum 7.5 inch wrist size. As you can see, the end of the strap is a fraction too short. It would need to be half an inch longer in order to engage in the two keepers. But I'm not going to be critical of it, because for the majority of collectors with a 6 to 7.5 inch wrist, this strap will suffice. Now, as you can see, the 42mm does have wrist presence. Even on my large 8-inch wrist, it does satisfy. It does have the wrist presence of a Flieger. One can really enjoy the wrist presence of a 42. I would say if you have a 6 to 7-inch wrist, you're going to find it dominates the wrist too much. It has too much wrist presence. Therefore, I would advise you opt for the 39mm version, which of course will suit your wrist better. However, if you have a larger 7 to 8 inch plus wrist, you will of course enjoy the 42mm presence. It does really look and feel like a Flieger watch in 42. Now, the thing I like about it is, even though it's on the bund strap, which has leather underneath the case back, it isn't too tall and top heavy. Of course, it does sit taller on the wrist due to the bund strap. You can just wear it on a standard leather strap if you want to reduce the height of it. But the thing to note is it's only 14mm, even though it has a box top hat crystal, which adds 2mm of thickness to the piece. Case back is flat and low profile. That's what I really like about it, and that is the benefit above all else of using the Sellita caliber AMT 5100M, the manual wind version, which is based upon the SW510M. It's thinner and lower profile. Hanhart would have made a mistake had they used the automatic version of the SW510, because it would have added 1mm of thickness. This piece would be 15mm, which is far too thick. But 14 is acceptable. Now, it's going to be slightly more difficult to slip underneath a shirt cuff if you wear business shirts, because you'll know from my previous reviews, 13mm is the sweet spot to easily slip underneath a shirt cuff. On the bund strap, it does add thickness, and of course this piece is 14, so it is 1mm thicker than the sweet spot of 13. But one has to appreciate the 2mm thick box top hat crystal. It is necessary because it does give the aesthetic of an acrylic crystal used in the 1950s on the original. So aesthetically it does look like the original 1954 4170S. I think the box top hat crystal is gorgeous. Had they used a flat sapphire crystal, of course it wouldn't have looked original, but the balance is there. Visually, this does look like a 1950s 4170S. Purists will prefer the 39 because it's true to the original proportions. Collectors with a larger wrist will enjoy the 42 version, so it really comes down to personal preference and of course wrist size. So 6 to 7 inch wrist, the 39 is the best option. 7 to 8 inch plus wrist size, clearly this 42 will satisfy. I like the wrist presence, looks like a Flieger at 42, just absolutely gorgeous. Legibility is good, symmetry is good, the bi-compact style layout is true to the original. Everything about it, the font, the syringe hands, the original text logo for Hanhart, it's exactly like a 1954 417S. The thing I like about it is the lack of heft. Even though this is the 42, it's only 102 grams. Now, needless to say, it's 102 grams. It feels weightless on wrist. It feels very well balanced. It doesn't feel top heavy. So the benefit is, when wearing the piece for long periods of time, such as 8 to 12 hours per day, it doesn't feel uncomfortable. It doesn't feel top heavy. Needless to say, the 39 lacks heft. It's less weighty. So 102 is comfortable, doesn't feel top heavy, and also doesn't look or feel too thick, even though it has a bund strap and it is 14mm. You will still be able to slide it underneath the shirt cuff, but of course it will be more difficult, unless you wear it on the standard strap, because that will delete the bund section of the strap. Right, so let's do a loom test, and we'll see how the loom performs when it's charged up to the absolute maximum. So this uses X2 C3 Superluminova. So Hanhart have added X2 to increase the potency of the exciter of C3. C3, you'll all be familiar with, glows in a characteristic green tone, rather like tritium, which does fit the aesthetic of a heritage reissue of a 1950s chronograph. But of course, unlike tritium, it doesn't patina, it doesn't degrade exponentially with time, so stellar performance. X2 is whiter and therefore adds potency to it, so it gives a whiter, bright white tone to the exciter, and it makes it glow brighter initially and also improves the longevity of the C3. It makes the green loom glow longer. So it's a mixture between white X2 and also green C3. So they've increased the potency. Right, so that's now fully charged, and as you can see, it has not disappointed. This is stellar performance. We're clearly looking at 5 to 6 layers of X2C3 Superluminova on the printed Arabic numerals and the syringe handsets. You can see there's an even colour tone match, even application of 5 to 6 layers. Now I'm pleased to see that Hanhart haven't used the cost cutting measure of 2 to 3 layers on the dial or 3 to 4 layers on the syringe hands. We're clearly looking at 5 to 6 on both. Green tone is beautiful. Looks like tritium, which was used in the 1950s, but of course it's potent and it's not going to degrade. The exciter is potent and I really like it, and it is excellent. They've even loomed the chronograph secondhand, as you can see. So I'm just going to charge it up again to its absolute maximum to get the camera to autofocus on it. Green tone is very good, so it does look very similar to standard C3. There's no discernible difference in the tone, even though they've added X2 to improve the potency of the exciter. There's no discernible difference in terms of colour tone. In daylight, the printed Arabic numerals on the dial and also the syringe hands have the same white tone. They don't look cream or white, they're perfectly matched. In the dark, we've got the same green tone, as you can see. So potent exciter. This is clearly 5 to 6 on the Arabic numerals, 5 to 6 on the syringe hands. And I like they fully loomed the chronograph hand as well. Legibility is good, symmetry of the dial is good. This is the benefit of it being a bi-compact style with the sub-dial at 9 and 3, because the dial is balanced. They haven't cut off any portions of the Arabic numerals. One can see the full portion of the Arabic numerals. Legibility is good, symmetry is good, performance is good. And bear in mind, this is not a dive piece. We're looking at a Flieger, a chronograph. But the point is, legibility is good. One can clearly differentiate between the syringe hour hand and the syringe minute hand. The minute hand is far longer. Fantastic. Right, so let's discuss the movement use, because it's my favourite aspect of the piece. So as I've detailed, the movement is based upon the Sellita caliber SW510M. The M denotes that it's the manual 1 version of the 510, which is the automatic. And it's made by manufacturer AMTSA, which is Sellita's high-end division, and they make the bespoke movements and custom-made movements for brands. So what we're looking at here is peak Sellita, the very best of Sellita. Manufacturer AMTSA are high grade. Make no mistake, this is not a standard SW510M. This is a manufacturer AMTSA, AMT5100M. Milled stripes, as you can see, like Coats de Genève, blued screws, decorated, finished to perfection, absolutely gorgeous looking, bi-compact manual wind flyback chronograph. No negatives to it whatsoever. So it has 23 joules, It runs at 28,800 vibrations per hour and a frequency of 4 Hz, has hacking. It's a column wheel chronograph. 58-hour power reserve is very impressive. So to clarify, the SW510M has a 50-hour power reserve. This AMT 5100M has a 58-hour power reserve, so one gains an additional 8 hours, which is good. The stated accuracy, these are regulated to plus or minus 2 seconds per day by manufacturer AMTSA. So plus or minus 2 is chronometer grade accurate. This one is running consistently at plus 2 seconds per day when it's fully wound to its maximum 58-hour power reserve. Stellar performance. Accurate, reliable, build quality, quality control, finishing, materials are all outstanding. This is the very best of Sellita. Manufacturer AMTSA. Hanhart deserve credit because they could have reduced production costs per piece in order to maximise profit margin per piece and simply used the less expensive alternative, a standard SW510M. But they didn't. They used the most expensive option, which is the manufacturer AMTSA, Sellita's high-end division, and the AMT 5100M. It really is the very best of Sellita. So, benefit is it's thinner than the automatic version, and of course it's accurate, plus or minus 2 seconds per day. Plus 2 is outstanding accuracy. Normally with high power reserve chronographs, when you increase the power reserve, you have to sacrifice accuracy, and if you want more accuracy, you have to sacrifice power reserve. So manufacturer AMTSA have got the balance correct. They've increased the power reserve from 50 to 58, but they've still retained the accuracy of plus 2 seconds per day. So it is the perfect balance between power reserve and accuracy. Now, one could be critical and say, well, it's manual wind. You have to manually wind it. 58 hours is a long power reserve, but you have to manually wind it 40 clockwise turns every 58 hours in order to keep it topped up, because it doesn't have a rotor as per an automatic SW510. So you can't wear the piece for 8 to 12 hours per day or put it on a watch winder in order to automatically wind it. That's the negative. But however, it's true to the original, because the original 4170S from the 1950s was a manual wind caliber. It wasn't an automatic, so purists will appreciate that. Hanhart have kept it true to the original, and one has to balance keeping a piece pure to the original and upgrading it to modern day specification. Of course, the Sellita caliber AMT 5100M is the modern day equivalent of a original 1950s bicompact flyback chronograph movement. It's manual wind. So I like it. So I think it's the correct choice, and I am pleased to see that it's a manufacturer AMTSA caliber rather than the standard Sellita SW510M, which is the less expensive option. So last I'll summarise the piece. What do I think of it overall? Well, when I'm considering reviewing a watch on my channel, the watch meets 2 criteria. It should be both excellent quality and excellent value at the respective price point. So €2,590 is the price point. It's a mid-tier piece. I'm going to declare it excellent quality, and I'm going to declare it excellent value at €2,590. I think Hanhart have actually undervalued this piece. It would be excellent quality and excellent value at €3,000 or €4,000. At €2,590, it is outstanding quality and outstanding value. No negatives to it whatsoever. Subjectively, the only negative or the only criticism I have of it is the odd 21mm lug width. I would prefer if they use the industry standard 20 or 22. It does limit the strap options, but that really is the only negative. And it's subjective, because for the majority of collectors, the 21mm lug width is not going to be detrimental, because it does come on the options of a standard leather strap, bund strap, a black or a brown strap, or alternatively an oyster style bracelet. So one does have a plethora of options. That really is the only negative. Build quality, quality control, materials, finishing are all stellar. Everything about this watch is fantastic, and most importantly, Hanhart have got the balance correct between satisfying purist Hanhart collectors, because it does look true to the original 1954 4170S flyback chronograph, but it's updated to modern day specifications. So for example, we have the benefit of X2C3 superluminova versus tritium. We also have the benefit of a double dome sapphire crystal rather than acrylic, so it's harder and more scratch resistant. So they've got the balance correct. Visually it looks aesthetically like the original 1950s version, but modern day specification. One thing I really like, for example, with regards to the upgrade, is they haven't painted the lower pusher with red nail varnish, of course. And this lower pusher, which is coated with high ceram, 60% microfine ceramic mixed with 3D cross-linked polymer, is hard and scratch resistant, rather like a ceramic bezel inset. So these are the kind of contemporary updates to the original that I like. Visually it does look like an original 1950s 417S which has been painted with red nail varnish, but it isn't. It's coated in high ceram. They've got the balance correct throughout. Looks like an original 1950s piece, but of course it's 2025 specification, and of course available in 39 and 42, depending on if you're a purist and you want the original size, or you want a Flieger size 42 with wrist presence and an exhibition caseback. I'm going to declare it a champagne watch for lemonade money. I hope you've enjoyed my review of the Hanhart 417ES 1954 Heritage Flyback. Please feel free to post your own comments below the video. Thank you for watching.